Hello, folks. This is Jeff Davis with the legendary Jeff Davis Show from Central Texas, USA. And I love Mike Hanson Archives. Peace out, baby.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Yeah! You're ready to run.
I had a dream the other night that, well, I didn't understand. A figure walked in through the mist with a flintlock in his hand. His clothes were torn and dirty as he stood there by my bed. He took off his three-cornered hat, and speaking low to me, he said, "We fought a revolution to secure our liberty. We wrote the Constitution as a shield from tyranny. For future generations, this legacy we gave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. The freedoms we secured for you, we hoped you'd always keep. But tyrants labored endlessly while your parents were asleep. Your freedom's gone, your courage lost. You're no more than a slave. In this, the land of the free and home of the brave. You buy permits to travel and permits to own a gun, permits to start a business or to build a place for one. On land that you believe you own, you pay a yearly rent, although you have no voice in saying how the money's spent. Your children must attend a school that doesn't educate, and your Christian values can't be taught according to the state. You read about the current news in a regulated press, and you pay a tax you do not owe to please the IRS. Your money is no longer made of silver nor of gold. You trade your wealth for paper so your life can be controlled. You pay for crimes that make our nation turn from God and shame. You've taken Satan's number. You've traded in your name. You've given government control to those who do you harm so they could burn down churches and seize the family farm and keep our country deep in debt. Put men of God in jail, harass your fellow countrymen while corrupted courts prevail. Your public servants don't uphold the solemn oaths they've sworn, and your daughters visit doctors so their children won't be born. Your leaders send artillery and guns to foreign shores and send your sons to slaughter fighting other people's wars. Can you regain the freedoms for which we fought and died? Or don't you have the courage or the faith to stand with pride? And are there no more values for which you'll fight to save? Or do you wish your children to live in fear and be a slave? Oh, sons of the Republic, arise, take a stand. Defend the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Preserve our great republic and each God-given right. And pray to God to keep the torch of freedom burning bright. As I awoke, he'd vanished in the mist from whence he came. His words were true. We are not free, but we have ourselves to blame. For even now as tyrants trample each God-given right, we only watch and tremble, too afraid to stand and fight. If he stood by your bedside in a dream while you were asleep and wondered what remains of the freedoms he'd fought to keep, what would be your answer if he called out from the grave? Is this still the land of the free and home of the brave?
Brainwashed, camouflaged, crazy Christian patriot, a paranoid, cynicoid, schizoid isolationist, a homophobe, xenophobe, savage, anti-Semitic, anti-this.
So I say this to the militias and all others who believe that the greatest threat to freedom comes from the government. If you appropriate our sacred symbols for paranoid purposes and compare yourselves to colonial militias who fought for the democracy you now rail against, you are wrong. How dare you call yourselves patriots and heroes? If you say the government is in a conspiracy to take your freedom away, you are just plain wrong. There is no freedom.
now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
The new world order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests.
That America's central bank operates in the public interest. The truth is that the Federal Reserve is a private bank owned by private stockholders and run purely for their private profit. Any doubt whether the Federal Reserve is a part of the U.S. government, check your local telephone book. In most cities, it is not listed in the blue government pages. It is listed in the business white pages right next to Federal Express, another private company. But more directly, U.S. courts have ruled time and time again that the Fed is a private corporation.
Hello, Central Texas, and we are live here tonight. This is actually February 22nd, 1998. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. This is a special edition of the Jeff Davis Show, coming at you live. And basically the reason for it, folks, is what's happening right here in Austin in about 10 hours from right now. And I took a nap tonight, and right there it is, Waco Remembrance. Today, see, it'll be 11 hours from now, a little less than 11 hours, the Chariot Inn, surviving Branch Davidians. Clive Doyle, Catherine Madison, some of the Waco survivors will be in Austin, Texas. There will be the attorney Jim Brennan, who's suing the government for the murdered children in Waco, trying to get their retain the property that was lost in the siege. And basically, folks, that's the purpose of the show tonight. That's what we're going to be talking about. Now, we do have some clips. We have a clip coming up from They Live, which is a movie by John Carpenter. And I think it's an interesting movie because, quite frankly, about 4 years ago, I put sunglasses on and saw the reality of the world myself. So it's quite interesting. I believe it's quite an interesting movie. Now, once again, 11 hours. We start the what I hope to and expect to believe the best downsized government conference that we've had. The media has been invited to be there, and with or without them, though, the show will go on, and it will feature several members of the Waco survivors from Waco coming in, and there'll be a lot of information there. Public, there's no charge to get in, and it's coming right up, like I say, 11 hours from now. Now, we're going to take a lot of calls tonight, folks, on this special edition, this late night special edition. Before we do, I just want to preface some of the things that took place. I'm going to take us back in time a little bit to February 28th of 1993. Now, the first thing that happened was several of the establishment newspapers, particularly the Waco Tribune, a day or two before February 28th of 1993, began writing a series of scandalous articles about the Branch Davidians at Mount Carmel. That was the first thing that happened. And basically what that was, I believe they were beginning the demonization of these people to ultimately justify what they knew was coming down on them. And this is one of the tactics of the people who control this system, is to demonize the people that are being targeted for some type of repercussion on a regular basis now. Now, on February 28th of 1993, I was just figuring out some of these things as far as how this system is in place and what's going on with it. And I was just at the point of figuring it out. And at that time, but basically on February 28th, 1993, 100 to 125 man assault team, multi-jurisdictional task force, which means you can't identify exactly who the players are because they're multi-jurisdictional, MJTF, conducted a raid, an armed raid, on a church community 100 miles north from where you're from, Austin, Texas. Now the propaganda began, right there's some footage of it. Now the propaganda began, like I say, before the actual event, but as the 51 days went on, there was numerous types of propaganda being disseminated. First, the Branch Davidians had drug labs. They were armed to the teeth. They were molesting children. Kresh said he was Jesus, all of which, folks, turned out to be lies. And this is the pattern of what happens with these types of situations. Now, for 51 days, this MJTF task force proceeded to literally terrorize the people inside Mount Carmel. And that's just a fact. They were running high-intensity lights on their so-called compound. The Branch Davidians had given $1,000 to the FBI to buy milk for the babies at Mount Carmel, and they never received the milk. They were conducting a specific type of laser technology against these people. Loud music, high-intensity lights, as I mentioned. This went on for 51 days. Now, Clive Doyle, one of the survivors who lost his 18-year-old daughter, Sherry Doyle, on the 51st day, which is April 19th of 1993, has told me privately that their communications had been cut off, their food supply had been cut off, their water had been cut off, and by the time of the 51 days, he had lost 35 pounds. They were getting their water from rain, laying buckets outside windows for their drinking water. And this is what the people of Mount Carmel went through and lived through. Now, let me just mention to you folks, prisoners of war, Vietnam veterans, or Vietnamese and different wars that we've been engaged in through different international treaties and whatnot, are entitled to medical care. There was no medical care given to these people. Basically what it amounted to, folks, was a federal government completely out of control. There's Clive right there. He will be in Austin. And in fact, he's arriving in about 10 hours. And that's actually footage of him speaking before the House committee that conducted the investigations. April 19th, 1993, after all of this abuse of Americans here on American soil in a church community 100 miles north from here, there was a fire in the place. Now there is also documented evidence that as many of the Branch Davidians were running from the Mount Carmel facility, they were being systematically shot at by snipers in bushes outside the Mount Carmel area. This is your government, folks. This is the tanks going into the walls with men, women, and children on it. It's been proven now that some of these children died from concussions to the head, blood force trauma, and this is your government conducting these types of things. Now, many people ask, why didn't the Davidians come out? Very central point here. With all of the real information that's come out. Now, I know some of you all are still mimicking the propaganda that was fed to you 5 years ago, which I think is absolutely disgusting, that you have not, for anybody who has not sought out any type of additional information other than what they were being fed 5 years ago in the staged FBI news conferences with Bob Ricks every morning, where basically with the majority of the media backed off, Bob Ricks of the FBI stating the so-called proceedings for that day, and then the majority of the media printing faithfully everything that he would say, and then go to the Waco Hilton and get drunk. This is documented, folks. Now, I don't have a problem with people drinking, but I do have a problem with people not asking questions, and not asking tough questions, not asking questions like why. What was the medical condition of these people? Why is their communications cut? Why are you sending out high-intensity lights? So the whole thing, folks, was staged. The information you're receiving was staged. Now, 5 years later, February 28, which is coming up in 6 days, will be the 5-year anniversary of Waco, Texas, when a 100 to 125 man assault team under MJTF raided and attacked the church community here in Waco. And I think it's absolutely disgusting that, first off, the one story about how people, the question is, why didn't the Davidians come out? At the seminar, if you talk to them at the Downsized Government Conference, they will tell you why they didn't come out. And that is because the government was giving them no indication that they could be trusted. Bottom line. And now with the evidence that's come out, Waco Rules of Engagement, which, by the way, is up for an Academy Award, it's a documentary, explains, illustrates why those people didn't come out, because they were dealing with thugs, terrorists. The terrorists, folks, that's what they were dealing with. And the whole information process, meaning the news conferences, were staged, and you were just getting information that the FBI was feeding you. And if that's all, the more information you want to ever base your opinions on the events in Waco, Texas, then I encourage you right now to change the channel, because we don't do that down here. Now, as the events unfolded, there's been a lot of other events other than the murder of 80-some people living in this church community. There's been several other events that have happened that are still going on. Number one, there's still a battle for that property there. Ultimately, I believe the state's probably going to get it. So they've murdered people, they've destroyed the evidence, and ultimately probably the state will seize their property. A jury trial in San Antonio, Texas, 4 years ago, had several of the so-called Davidian prisoners in court there in San Antonio, and the jury actually found several the Davidians that were on trial innocent of the accused charges by the federal government. However, some federal judge saw fit to just basically ignore the jury, and consequently many of these people, in fact there's currently 7 Branch Davidians, and there's a picture of some of them, real wicked devils. They look like they're real terrorists and real dangerous people, I would say. But there's 7 of them still sitting in prison, and in fact a couple of them have been getting beaten by guards at the prison facility that they're at. So there's a lot of ongoing events playing out in Waco. Now, for those of you that want to rationalize and call in here and say, the Davidians were doing that, the Davidians were doing this, why didn't they come out? All of that, I encourage you again to turn the channel, because you're wasting your time here. You're not gonna get anywhere with me. Number one, you're wasting the airwaves reiterating garbage you've been fed for 5 years now, and you're still swallowing it. The fact is, folks, these people were murdered. The evidence was covered up. And the key point that I still stress is that if you or I, any of the viewers here tonight, were to drive a tank into a structure with men, women, and children on the other side, we would be indicted. Bottom line. That's all I want to hear. That's the bottom line. So, these people, this MJTF, Multi-Jurisdictional Task Force, this assault team, believes they're better than you, folks. They can operate in a system outside and above the laws that they place on you. Bottom line, because there's still no indictments on people who proceed.
Next, we have a couple of Kansas City's finest members of the SWAT team. This one here is quite a specimen. I tell you, in all my years involved with SWAT, I've never seen a gentleman like this that I've learned so much from in just the short time I've been around him. It's just awesome is about the only word to describe him.
Honed to a fine edge, honed to kill.
That's right. He just a Rambo. He's just like Rambo out here himself.
I would like to back that up again. If we could take that footage and back it up to just before the young lady who did the audio on that tape. Now that was filmed at Waco. Does that have it? I know that, but does it not have it? Does state the young lady on there that
Next, we have a couple of Kansas City's finest members of the SWAT team. Okay. This one here is quite a specimen. I tell you, in all my years involved with SWAT, I've never seen a gentleman like this that I've learned so much from in just the short time I've been around him. It's just awesome is about the only word to describe him.
Honed to a fine edge, honed to kill.
That's right. He just a Rambo. He's okay, just like Rambo out here himself.
Now, folks, that was in Waco, Texas. That was one of the MJTF affiliates, SWAT, Special Weapons and Tactics. And as you can see from that video, that footage, he had great concern for the children. As Janet Reno said, this was for the children. They needed to do this, conduct this for the children. You could see the loving concern on that SWAT fella there. of his loving concern for the children in Waco, Texas. So, virtually everybody in the world has heard of the Branch Davidians. Been a lot of information put out from a lot of different sources, a lot of different areas. I was the first one down here in Austin, Texas, to put The Big Lie, Waco the Big Lie, on public access television. And since then, there's been numerous documentaries. There's been, like I say, congressional investigations, Senate hearings, a Treasury report, which all of these were just whitewashes, because nothing amounted to any of them except a slap on a few of the FBI people's hands, and that was it. Everybody in the world, virtually everybody in the world, has heard of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. In 10.5 hours, right here in Austin, Texas, you will have the opportunity to meet many of these people that lived through this terror for 51 days. Many of them have lost family members in the fire. Now, for any of you doubters that want to challenge anything I've said here, all I've got to say to you is they will be in town here in 10 hours. Ask the questions directly to them. And there's the staged FBI news conference that Bob Ricks gave us. And that was the only information we were privy to. Now, folks, since I've initially stated what I wanted to state here tonight, because I have been the most avid person probably in this town on this issue. I believe from day one that these people were murdered, and 5 years later, there's no evidence to indicate that I was wrong 5 years ago. Now with that, let's go ahead and try to take some calls here. I know the lines are full. This is a live program, February 22nd, about 2:25 here in the morning, Sunday morning, right down here at the studios of ACAC. Let's go ahead and try a call here.
Hey, Jeff, it's
See
Alex.
what's on your all's mind.
Hey, Jeff, it's Alex.
Hello?
You might have to turn up the monitor in there so Jeff can hear. Or turn
I
up
can't
on the floor.
hear I can't hear it. Just turn the box up, I think.
Can you hear me now, Jeff?
You turn the heat on? Yes, it was cold in here.
Well, we're fixing the technical problem.
Yeah, I'm awake.
Again, Peter Jennings will give you what you
Hello?
want. Millions of dollars of lies. You got me now, guys?
Can't hear it.
Well, I've stayed up
There
late.
it is.
Okay, there it is. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? This is Alex.
Hey, this is Alex Jones.
I did 4 hours tonight.
FM radio host.
I did 4 hours on this. Had Clive Doyle on. I wanted to have you on, but I know you had to take a nap today because you had to do this show tonight. And this is the Trojan effort we're doing for absolutely no money because we care about our nation and we have smashed to the apathy. You know, you really didn't tell them how bad Waco Rules of Engagement is, the FBI's own footage that defense attorney snuck out. Didn't tell them about the federal gag order, but you're doing a great job, Jeff. I tell you, it
So are
shows,
you, Alex.
I forget his name. Clive talked about it. The guy was climbing up on the water tower and was waving a white flag. Well,
Peter-
they machine gunned him. You see that on the tape, and that's in color video. It's incredible on the big screen when we saw it at Dobie. The video isn't quite as powerful, but you can still see it. Shows the forward-looking infrared footage filmed by the FBI themselves of the snipers, where the FBI even admitted they had snipers, machine gunning the people as they try to run out of the building. This is the front of the building you're seeing. Also, the FBI didn't give the news what happened 5 minutes before this. It didn't show them firing into the front of the metal doors, bullets going in. They attacked. It's just incredible. And we put this thing together. Jeff is the host tomorrow, Texas Best. I'll be speaking first and later. And, of course, Clive Doyle. There's only 9 survivors, correct, Jeff?
Yeah, 9 survivors, right.
Y'all might want to turn Jeff's mic up a little bit. I can barely hear him over there.
Yeah, there is 9 survivors.
Yeah. Mike,
in fact, Clive, I don't know if he mentioned this on your radio show tonight, Alex, but Clive actually lost his 18-year-old daughter, Sherry Doyle, on April 19th. She died.
I wasn't being sarcastic, but I was
died
doing
in
my
a fire.
normal things, and he seemed to understand. I knew about Sherry. I didn't want to bring that up. I don't know if we're allowed to, but we ought to put up the Waco survivors deal, or is that? I guess that would be commercialism for these people that lost their homes. And anyways, look, this could happen to any of us. I mean, just us. 5 weeks ago down at the Commissioner's Court meeting, we're all sitting there in the front row, and all of a sudden the SWAT team shows up and comes and sits down beside us in black uniforms, and the media lines up against us, been lying about us, saying that we said we wanted to hurt police. And I think we were sitting in the front row reading newspapers, weren't we, Jeff?
Yep. Yeah, the big question on that, Alex, is what were they doing there in the first place?
I mean, this is what we're talking about. We are in a third world nation now, or a police state.
Where if you even show up just to address grievances with your government, so-called government officials, then it may turn out that you have SWAT team members there. That's all for the children too. Just like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jeff, I tell you, your presentation last Monday, I even said it on my show. What did I call it? I called it flawless, sterling.
How's
the
this
best I'd ever seen. Me and Jeff aren't perfect, but I tell you, when we do our presentations right, it really shows the lies. I don't mean to say this again. Y'all might want to jack his mic up a little bit, because the other audio's coming in real good, and Jeff's kind of coming in and out. Maybe that mic's got a problem or something.
You mean my 15-minute presentation didn't come through?
No, it came through, and then later it's gotten kind of quiet. It's better now. I think Mike fixed it.
Okay.
But
hey, Alex, you know I love you, man, like a brother.
Yeah, well, we're passionate people. We're not slaves. And look, again, tomorrow, the seminars have gone from 45 people 9 months ago to over almost 200 signed up last time. I don't sign it. You don't sign it. A bunch of people don't sign in. Over the 6 hours of the seminar last week, or the 5 hours, I think it was probably conservatively 250 people, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would say so, because it was pretty packed in there at any given time. And I'm sticking with my prediction when I first presented this about the Davidians.
I think 400 people.
I told Wes 300 to 400. I'm going to stick with my prediction. I think it'll be at least 300 there, and there needs to be.
Well, there'll be more than 300.
There needs to be, because
guys, don't let the demonization that's gone on in the press. Just last week, and I lost the clip. You've got the clip. I want to play it on my Tuesday TV show. Jeff, they came down to ask Jeff at his work about people that are fighting these liens that are put on their homes by a counter lien on the state or federal agency. Of course, the press didn't tell you that. They just said militia terrorism, paper terrorism, the silent war. Jeff, you said it many times. I'm not worried about Jeff Davis or Alex Jones or anybody else
Rick
who gets
McLaren.
a lien. Yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about a citizen putting a lien on me or the IRS and FinCEN, Federal Crimes Enforcement of the federal government. I want you later, after you get off the phone, to tell the story about your friend that thought you were full of it, until FinCEN in black uniforms.
That's
the
true.
IRS has black uniformed people.
Yeah.
They don't operate much in the South, but up north they're really pushing people around.
That's a true story. I will get into that. Hey, Alex, could you before you hang up the phone, would you get with Mike and tell him where that they lives is? You've already set up to it? Okay.
Well, listen, Jeff,
I'm going to play that in about 15 minutes.
Sure. I don't want to get cut off quite yet. As I have to stay on a few more minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, basically, I forget what the point I was going to make. Basically, things are much worse than we really put out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you've got a government that I believe elements of it, terrorist cells controlled by the feds, and I can go into the documentation we have many times, blew up the Murrow Federal Building. Hell, General Parton, ex-head of Air Force Weapons Development, has said that on my radio show.
Yeah.
I played his documentaries that he puts out, by the way, for free. The man's spending his savings on this. Look,
it actually is worse than we present.
Yes, but it's not gloom and doom. If people just stop being led around like sheep and start standing up, being individual doesn't mean that well, I'm just an individual. You have to be an individual. You have to stand up. So I look forward to you hosting a seminar I hosted last month with Captain Joyce Riley to a packed house, and I think this month is going to be jam-packed. Guys, we are not dangerous people. We are not out of control people. We are not to be feared. We are good Americans who love this country, and we're like Martin Luther King. We're like anybody that's going to stand up. And anybody that stands up is going to be attacked. And I mean, just the level.
We're going to do our radio broadcast, too, from there.
Yes, on Sundays.
Our satellite radio show.
I do mainstream FM. Jeff has been a host and been on many other shows. And now Jeff broadcasts on 95.9, a 95-watt, 60-foot tower in Cedar Park, North Austin, at 95.9 all the time, quite often. And now me and Jeff are doing a legal mainstream, and I appreciate you taking the lead.
Well, man, it might not be considered mainstream, but it is international radio.
Well, it is commercial.
It's commercial radio. Yeah, it's legal. Yeah.
And it's in fact, we're getting letters.
There's
me being the global love cop, making satire. But I hope people still understand what satire is. But to make a long story short, we're getting letters from Australia.
Yeah, we got some letters from Australia, and it's great.
We're getting calls from micro broadcasters that pick up the satellite feed around the nation.
Yeah.
And I'm all the way for what's known as pirate radio, or what really should be called micro broadcasting, if it doesn't interfere with other commercial bands.
We've got a lot of activities going on here, Alex.
Well, Jeff, listen, we just got to keep this movement together, stay focused, take care of ourselves.
Did I tell you I went out shooting today?
Well, listen, we need to
No, I did. I know. That's the first time I've shot a weapon.
I appreciate you calling me and inviting me, but I was taking a nap.
That's the first time I've shot a weapon since I was in the active duty Air Force.
Yeah, I understand that. And
but it was a legal range and everything.
Well, Jeff, I tell you what,
it was fun.
We should be like those people in Germany that were all disarmed, or those wonderful serfs in Britain, or the wonderful people under Stalin or under Mao. We should be disarmed. There's far too many guns. I agree with Hitler's statement in 1933 that he was going to ban guns. We should ban all the guns. I'm with Handgun Control Incorporated. Guns, a disarmed populace is so good.
It's for the children, Alex.
Yes, of course. And again, I'm using satire. Well, Jeff, I'll let you go. Again, we got to get up early in the morning and get down there by 12. The doors open at 12, but things get going at 1 p.m. The Chariot Inn on North I-35. You guys need to get down there. You need to come. You're going to see black people, white people, Jews, Gentiles, and it's time for you to wake up out there and realize that left-right is a false political spectrum. Start rebuking these professors. Understand how things are controlled.
And let me also mention, Alex, first off, let me say that I appreciate your efforts on all this. But let me also say that we are more than just downsized government. We are going after the county here, the cities coming next. We're basically attacking the beast on so many fronts now that and this is what I believe why this movement is growing.
Let's talk about the indoctrination, and then I've said for the third time I'll get off and let you get on to business. Let's talk about the indoctrination, Jeff. I used to be the same way. I'll tell you the truth. I thought that Waco was wrong, out of control, and abuse of power. But then when I saw Waco Rules of Engagement, it showed the BATF laughing, loading up their cameras. We're going to kill these people.
Yeah.
We're going to, we're going to really get some publicity out of this. These scum, playing the sounds of dying rabbits, firing the lasers that can burn your eyes into the facility. That was all going on the backside. The stuff you see on the front was what the FBI was showing you from their tapes. The backside, and let me tell you, Waco Rules of Engagement shows them machine gunning those people as they try to run out the back. It's kind of hard to really catch it on videotape because you lose the generation quality. What those senators saw and what they whitewashed was very crisp. But you can see the guy on the water tower. That's just normal video being shot. No wonder they didn't come out. They 100-something people opened fire on that place. Helicopters were swarming around firing on them. We got the FBI on tape on Waco Rules of Engagement. Koresh saying, what was the name of the FBI negotiator?
Well, the one giving the news conference was a fellow named Bob Ricks.
I don't mean Ricks. I mean the guy on the phone saying there were no
Jim
firing.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Who's still inside that mechanism.
Yes, and he should be in federal prison.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
should
I
be
think
worse.
so.
But anyways, sitting there saying, "Oh, Crash, we didn't fire on you. Crash, you're a damn liar. We saw you firing."
Yeah.
We called 911. And then he just goes on and on and on.
Creates frustration and fear. Militia members using the court system to fight their battles. It often results in confrontations and even chaos. And it's happening right here in Austin. KB24's Amy Grisafi reports on the Attorney General's statewide study into how much militia activity is clogging the court system.
The Republic of Texas is best known for creating a highly publicized standoff, complete with armored tanks and a dramatic surrender.
Here's another example of the kind of filing that they do.
But what isn't so publicized is the quiet war brewing between the militia and the court system.
It's very expensive to undo the damage that they've done.
Critics say militia groups use a strategy of paper terrorism, filing numerous bogus cases like liens on people's property. A statewide study found Travis County courts rank 4th in militia activity.
I'm not surprised. In fact, I would have thought we would have ranked a little higher. I feel sorry for the people who are ahead of us on the list.
We shared the report with militia spokesman Jeff Davis. He wishes Travis County ranked higher.
They should not be becoming more aggressive upon us and filling out these reports and whatnot, stating that they're going to have to deal with us because we're part of the America too.
Judge Mike Lynch has had a front row seat to the activity. His courtroom almost turned into a circus when a militia member showed up for trial.
Refused to accept the jurisdiction of the court, to refuse to believe that these are legitimate courts.
Those are the beliefs of most militia members.
I basically maintain that the court doesn't apply to me.
The Attorney General's office created this study as a guide for local courts and doesn't plan on doing anything with it. They say local officials will be responsible for making any necessary changes. Amy Grisafi, KVUE24 News.
All right, folks, that was actually the piece that Alex was referring to.
Yeah.
Now let me just say what I.
Sure.
Let me just.
Am I back up?
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, good.
Let me just say this. That was, I think, last Friday or something. I forget what it was.
Well, I want Mike to back it up and show the guy in the ski mask. They're the ones that wear ski masks.
Yeah,
you see it on cops every night.
The feds are the ones that wear the ski. The MG.
That's why I put one on last week to make fun of them.
Yeah, and but the point I was making there, though, was that basically what we're living in is kangaroo courts.
Oh, yeah.
And the Davidian is a perfect example of that, where the jury finds these people innocent of everything, and then some judge just says, no, we're going to give them 10 years for this. So
you know how they did that? They got them to plea bargain. The murder charges and all that got thrown out. Clive explained to me today on my radio show. The murder charges and everything were thrown out. And I appreciate you having me, Jeff. Those were thrown out, or not thrown out. The jury found them not guilty, a bunch of women and people. And then... But the judge could get them on a federal gun charge where it's just a flat-out crime, and they had pled guilty that they had legal guns, but that there had been a commission of a crime, but then they'd been found not guilty. It didn't matter. The judge put them to 40-year sentences.
Yeah, isn't that something?
And supposedly we have a Second Amendment in this country?
Yeah.
But anyways, Jeff.
Let me just explain, Alex.
Well, can Mike back it up and show the ski mask picture?
Yeah, he's probably working on that. Let me just explain.
Mike's doing a great job.
What he is. These so-called bogus lanes. I know that you and I know this, but for the viewers, because the lines are filled. Basically, what the majority of these so-called bogus lanes are basically people who are not recognizing the county government.
Well, the IRS is trying to steal their
it's either the IRS or the county property tax man who have filed initial lien against their property first, and all they're doing is filing a counter lien stating we don't recognize your jurisdiction to take my property. That is the so-called bogus lanes.
That's called terrorism.
Yeah, that's terrorism.
Exactly. That's malicious. Now, if you stand up for your rights,
you're
in a militia. I mean, but look, does this surprise us? We go down to the commissioner's court. Have you heard anything violent on this show tonight? No. We're sitting here peaceably talking about information. We go down there, and there's a SWAT team there. I mean, SWAT team inside, 3 inside, 4 in the hall, and some on the roof. Well, Jeff, I'll let you go.
We're doing
it tomorrow. You need to get off your asses. Come down there and find out how you can get involved. do whatever you want. Think of your own ideas. I got off my ass 3 years ago. Jeff got off his 6 years ago. Everybody's getting off their ass. Get off your ass. And listen, Jeff, you're doing a good job. Long
So
live.
are you.
Yes. God bless America. Long live the Republic, and death to the New World Order.
I'll see you in about 9 hours, brother.
I'll see you at 12 down there at the Chariot Inn.
Hey, tell us briefly what they're going to be seeing on the They Live.
Well, basically, this is an analogy now. This is
now, we're
metaphor.
not saying that aliens are running things.
Yes, we're not saying this, and the film isn't saying this. It's a political, very dark political analogy. You're only going to see some clips. The film is John Carpenter, low budget, but he of course, because he didn't go along with things, but it's very, 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 very informed. It shows subliminal messages. It shows the manipulation. And now openly, and I've had some marketing. I work for Mainstream FM Radio, 98.9 KJFK every Saturday and Sundays, or used to be Sundays. I'll be back on soon. And basically, it's well-known. Billboards and things now. When you see a Marlboro billboard and there's no words on it, it just shows a weird background. There's a subliminal message there. They are doing that. Ads and commercials, everything. This is stated in the textbooks at UT.
Yeah.
And there's so much more. And the use of semantics and words.
When you start studying the occultic
Oh, yeah.
symbology, you can see a lot of this in a lot
Let
of
me tell you, I'm not the one that's talking about it. I don't get into really religious things, but from Procter & Gamble to Time Warner to every media deal, it's the Eye of Horus, or it's a satanic symbol, the man in the moon with 13 stars.
That's right.
Procter & Gamble.
That's
it
amazing.
just goes on and on. I mean, these people
let me tell you, Alex, even old Mike Runyon, who I haven't talked to much, but even old Mike Runyon was admitting this to me the other day. I found that amazing because I didn't think he was that far off.
Well, look, these people finance wars. Skull and Bones, it was even on A&E. They admitted on there that they get in coffins and talk about their wildest sexual desires. We were telling people this 2-3 years ago. You were telling them 6 years ago. Yeah. I mean, you're Freemasons to get in the upper level 33rd degree, swear to kill their family and do all these satanic oaths. And listen, I'm sorry to tell you this. I know this because of some family in my generations. My father told me about this. My dad's a business owner and a doctor. This isn't kook stuff. It is to test people to see if they're willing to step over the line in their service of the dark forces that are out there. And I'm not saying every Mason is like this, only the top degrees.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of wickedness
part of their
going
network,
on.
yeah.
A lot of wickedness. Well, Jeff, great job, everybody out there. Sorry for taking up so much time. I'm sure Jeff will get your calls after this clip.
God bless you, brother. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's take these callers that have been holding for a while quickly, folks, and then we're going to run a couple of quick clips here, and then we'll be back, for the last half hour. You're on the air. Hello? Okay.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, how you doing tonight, Jeff?
Thank you for holding.
Hey, I was wondering, I tell you, doesn't it sound just a little bit, though, paranoid? I mean, where you have Alex and you, man, talking about cameras on the freeways, and you're talking about helicopters watching you, eyes in the sky. I mean, what's helicopter with surveillance? What are they looking for? Black helicopter with surveillance. What are they? They're watching you do what?
Basically, what's your first name?
Mike.
Okay, basically, what a lot of it is, what a lot of the activity is. Now, keep in mind there are legitimate helicopters flying around, like the emergency helicopters, the Travis County, whatever it is. There's legitimate airfare going on. That's one element of it. Now, what are the ones that I'm suspicious of? The ones that are unidentifiable? They don't have no numbering. Basically, what they're doing, man, is tracking the resistance.
No, I mean, what? They flying around and just looking at people's homes?
Yeah.
And looking for what?
Checking for resistance, man.
What are they going to see? I mean, what are they going to try to see meetings?
If the enemy, see, you have to first come to the conclusion that we are in a silent war here. Now, if you don't understand that premise, then you're not going to understand my response.
No, I understand your premise,
Okay, now,
though.
if you understand that, basically what it is it's an intelligence gathering network. If you rule this system and you face potential problems, i.e. the populace that you're controlling and manipulating around waking up to the shenanigans you're pulling, you need to have some type of intelligence gathering system in place so you can gauge what types of activities you can get away with, you know, what type of activities you may want to back off with. What are the numbers of people that are figuring out what's going on in this system?
But how could a helicopter find that out?
It's just one mechanism. It's used for tracking and for tracing.
No, but they watch you and they can hear you, or I mean.
Yes,
so they fly around and they just look for groups of people that are meeting.
I believe, yes, that's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, as far as like,
it's just basically, it's like if you're watching the news regularly now, you will hear almost at least 2 or 3 times a week where some informant of the government. Now think about this. This is a government that's supposed to represent us, but some person, an so-called informant, has infiltrated this group or that group or this bunch or whatever. Now, they're basically what they're doing is, in fact, this was with this latest deal with Wayne Harris and this so-called anthrax scare that they had.
Yeah, but don't you think that he had it? He's been claiming, don't you? Or do you?
No. My argument to that is I don't trust the people that are doing the informing.
So you don't believe he had it?
That's not the point.
The
point is...
Well, no, do you believe he had it or not?
Let me make the point. The point is this so-called government is much more criminal, and I've been documented down here for years now, that this government is totally unaccountable, totally irresponsible to us, working for somebody else, virtually through executive orders and different things, running amok, dictating down to us that we're free to do as they tell us. So the point is, I don't trust the people who are supposedly doing the intelligence gathering.
Well, I know, but like, you know,
it's a very basic premise. It's not.
Well, I mean, if you can't believe that.
Now, if you trust the government, if you believe everything you hear in the media, then yes, you're going to agree with them sending in informants and collecting the information.
No, but you're talking about, though, like cameras on the highway.
It's the same deal with the UN. It's the same type of situation there. It's presented as peace and loving. See, I don't believe it, because I know that the UN is subversive.
But you believe, Jeff, there's helicopters watching you.
I know UN resolutions have got us into the Korean conflict, the Vietnam War.
World War II.
Who are these so-called peacemakers?
World War II.
The perpetual war for perpetual peace syndrome.
Yeah, but Jeff, you
so
believe
all
there's
I'm saying is
helicopters watching you.
I believe that they're being used for tracking and tracing. Yes, I do.
You believe they're flying around watching you.
In fact, I know for a fact that they are using some of the double-wing helicopters and some of these so-called seas. I don't know exactly what they call it, but there's several sweeps that have been made across America over the last 5 years of different groups and different things where literally people were hoarded onto these 60-man double-wing aircraft and sent off for questioning.
Yeah, but what do you believe why are they having cameras on the highways?
That's for tracking and tracing.
But yeah, I tell you, Jeff, if you ever lived in a city besides Austin?
Let me tell you what that's for.
For traffic.
No.
Oh, come on. Have you ever lived in a city besides Austin?
No, sir. They don't care about your traffic.
Mr. Davis, have you ever lived in a city bigger than Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
I mean,
wait.
Let me
make my point.
Can I just make one point?
Go ahead.
In Chicago, okay, they have cameras all over the highways, and they can tell you when you're going, because traffic is about 2 hours, 2.5 hours rush hour. They can tell you exactly one highway to the other one. Say, hey, it's going to be 17 minutes to that turnoff.
I'm not talking about.
If you don't think that's nice,
I'm not talking about that. Now let me tell you what they're.
What are they watching you do, Jeff?
Let me look. I'm going to have to put you on hold if you don't let me respond.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, what they're being used for, what they're being exploited for, and they're going to be presented to us as good. That's the basic ploy of the enemy. Who are funding them. That's the basic ploy of the enemy. Now, basically, what they're being used for is, in a large part, is for revenue generation. Do you know what revenue generation is?
Certainly, Jeff, of course.
Okay, basically, instead of now having cops and stuff chase you down, they'll be able to diagnose your speed limit.
Hey, that's a lot better, though, isn't it?
No.
You don't have a cop screwing with you. You know, you go ahead and they give you a ticket. If you're not speeding, they're not going to give you a ticket.
The cops are still going to screw with you, too, though.
What?
The cops are still going to screw with you.
Well, no, they're not pulling you over, getting a cop, a damn drug dog going through your car. Hey, any day, screw it. If you can have a ticket given to me, opposed to a cop going through my car, give me an electronic ticket. Give me a ticket in the mail, Jeff. Come on. You're telling me you'd rather have a fucking cop going through your car than you're
going to have that too.
If you're speeding, you're going to get a ticket.
You're going to have both.
But if you're not speeding, well, how are they going to give you a ticket? See, you think it's illegal for a cop
I don't know what you're talking about now.
I'm saying no.
You're
saying
off on different tangents.
No, you're talking about these electronic eyes are going to be giving you tickets. Why are they giving you tickets unless you're speeding? You don't believe a cop should be able to have the right to
No, not just that. If you don't have your inspection sticker up to date, if you don't have your vehicle registration up to date.
Most states don't even have vehicle inspections anymore. Texas is one of the few states that even has that.
That's not true.
Oh, come on, Jeff. Come on. Most major...
That's part of the ongoing EPA movement.
Jeff, I'm just saying, why are these eyes in the sky? What are they going to do to you?
Tracking you like rats.
What are you doing to where they track you? I go to work every day. How long are they going to watch me, Jeff? What? They're going to get real bored watching me. I go to work every day. I come home. I sit and watch TV. I drink a couple beers. I go to work. I go to, I mean, what, are they going to watch me? How long are they going to watch you?
Well, let me ask you, do you realize what you're saying here, brother?
I'm saying that I don't believe...
You are, really, I hate to insult your intelligence, but my Lord... Can you imagine 200 years ago, the founding fathers who fought their way out of this type of scenario? I mean, it's mind-boggling that you
Jeff, I don't believe people
that you're sitting there saying,
no, Jeff,
yes, tax
Jeff,
me,
I'm saying,
yes, put cameras all over me,
Jeff,
yes, let me do this to me.
No,
it's
Jeff.
like you're volunteering.
No, Jeff,
this
I
system
don't. Jeff, I don't believe...
It's amazing, the mentality.
Jeff, I don't believe people are watching me. That's just the thing.
Oh, yeah, really?
Okay, I'm not paranoid.
Have you been visited by the IRS?
No.
Have you been audited?
No.
Okay, let me tell you something. I've
never done anything. I pay my taxes.
Yeah,
I'm honest.
Let me tell you something. 1 year, just don't pay your property taxes, and you see who's watching you and who is.
Come on, Jeff. If you don't pay your property taxes, they're going to screw with you.
Yeah, and you know what
What? You don't feel you have to pay property taxes.
And you know what that's called?
It's called evading.
It's called feudalism.
Oh, come on. Then what? What world do you want to live in, Jeff?
I want to live in freedom, man. I don't want to have cameras tracking me. I don't want to have... Look, I'm going to have to put you on hold again. Look, I'm going to have to put you on hold again, man. Okay, now here's what I want. You want to know what I want? I don't want Big Brother government putting cameras on me and my family as I'm traveling on these streets that I'm supposed to own. I don't want to have all these licenses and permits and fees to go on these roads that I'm supposed to own. I don't want to have this government stealing my property for property taxes or the IRS so they can make up fictitious accounts in their so-called budget process where it's just literally looting the American people by umpteen billions of dollars. I want to be able to have my gun. It's so basic. And you, through gradualism, my friend, you have accepted that these things are acceptable. And for anybody that wants to control their own destiny, and wants real liberty and freedom and not an illusion of liberty and freedom. Let me just state exactly the type of situation we are in. Then we're going to have to get to the news clip. I appreciate your call, brother. We are living in a situation where we are totally economically enslaved. And I can prove it. Like I say, through property taxes, through income taxes, sales taxes, every tax ever created in the history of the world, we've got in America today. At the tune of roughly 40 to 50% of your wages, depending upon what kind of a tax bracket you're in. And then you have people like this last caller call up here and say, oh yeah, what's wrong with them putting cameras all over the place? What's wrong with you having to have all your papers in order? All your vehicle registrations and your permits and your fees? What's wrong with having to go to the government to get a permit issued to you to build an additional piece of property on your property that you believe you own? Give me a break, fat guy. We have got documented down here, just right down here, and I just discovered this 2 weeks ago, that Bill Alshire, the outgoing county judge here, who's been in judge here for several years, wrote a news release stating that there was massive looting going on in Travis County government. That these people were setting up fictitious accounts, routing thousands of dollars into phony accounts, Fred Flintstone accounts to be administered by Wilma Flintstone, at the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars just in this document. And you multiply that across America for all the cities and the counties and the states and in Washington, D.C., you're talking about hundreds of trillions, if not hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars of looting going on here in America. And to pay for this, people are having their cars and their house seized. And then Mike calls up and says, what's wrong with having cameras here so they can spy in on us and take pictures of us and make sure our inspection stickers are current? They're stealing. My God, they're stealing. They're using these mechanisms to generate revenue from you, so they can lewd through this system. Give me a break, man. I mean, yeah, I hope that you're not. Well, I know there's a lot of people out there that don't understand what liberty and basic common sense is, and to be responsible for your own actions. But I'm sorry, my friend, you just don't cut it. Okay, next caller, you're on air. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, sir.
How you doing?
Good, and you?
Long night, man, but I just agree with everything you're saying, man. It's been a refreshing to hear somebody's voice, opinion, the way you state it, man. It's great.
You disagree or you agree?
I agree totally with you, man.
Thank you.
Because I come from, I'm not racist, I'm not anything anti-American or government, but I'm anti the way things are being run lately. I mean, this country needs a change, and you got a refreshing mind coming towards it.
Well, thank you. Anything else?
No, I just want to tell you, man, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for calling. Okay, let's go ahead and go to these clips here, man. Let's go to They Live first, and then we'll go into Blinded by the Lies. How's that, Mike? And we'll be back, folks, in about 10 minutes to wrap it up here.
What the hell that's all about. And then he goes across the street to the church where he sees all this strange activity going on and sees sunglasses being manufactured, finds a secret compartment in the wall. They live, we sleep. Has no idea what this means. Later, after the place is raided, he notices that the wall's been painted over. Why would it be painted over? A lot of weird stuff's going on. He takes some sunglasses, puts them on for himself, and then his world is changed. His worldview is drastically altered. In the mid-'80s, when this film was made by John Carpenter, few would have imagined tanks driving over the Branch Davidians' church Well, here you have it. Again, in fiction, bulldozers and armored troops running through people's encampments. I tell you, these visions of fascism are here with us today and increasing and accelerating. After the raid, he goes back and gets in the secret compartment and gets a box and is shocked to find sunglasses. He begins to dig in the box, thinking it's something else hidden, and it isn't. So he takes a pair of sunglasses and leaves. As he walks down the street, he is shocked.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
How are you today, sir? Okay, how's it going? Fine, thank you. Thank you, sir. Here you are, sir. Thank you.
Will go unrewarded.
Hello, folks, and we are back. And we are live down here in ACAC Studios in beautiful East Austin. We got some calls I've been holding for a while. Let's go ahead and get right to them.
Jeff, this is Tony.
Hey, what's going on, brother? You up this late?
I stayed up especially for you.
Thank you.
This is a great show like all your shows.
Thank you, Tony.
I just wanted to make a couple comments.
You gonna be at the conference?
Yes.
Good. You want to ask what you can do? Start going to the conference for starters.
Well, you know why I asked that question. You know me better than that.
Good to hear from you.
You too. the thing that people have to realize is that there's a gradual movement towards a military state in this country. See, that's the whole thing. That's the whole picture, and then we can break it down into little pieces of puzzles, little puzzle pieces. But the whole puzzle, the entire picture, is that they're going to bring in the one world government that's going to be run like a military state.
Yeah.
And the cameras and the helicopters and the SWAT teams and all of these things, gun control.
Ski masks.
They're going to bring in the chip for identification and all sorts of things that people are just going to eat like cookies because they're brainwashed and because they're conditioned to gradually accept all of these little things.
Yeah.
One thing after another. This is all right, and this is all right. Oh, that's all right, and this is all right.
What was funny, Tony, was 6 years ago when I started presenting this information. Oh, he's a theorist.
Right.
That can't happen. That's not going to happen here. And now that it's being presented to him that it's happening, hey, it's okay. Isn't that amazing how, like you say, through gradualism. And let me also mention too that they've already incorporated this in many of the other nations now across the earth, across the world now.
Right. The elite trillionaires that are running the Western world, now they don't run the whole world, but they run the Western world, they have bought this idea of a one world government. In other words, a long time ago, hundreds of years ago, it was presented to them as the only solution to prevent wars and blah, 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 blah. In other words, they think that's the only way this world should be run is what this one world government that they control.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And they use everything from A to Z.
And that's what's funny. I don't mean to interrupt you, Tony, but that's a very key element in this is they control.
That's
not
right.
Not you or me or Mike, the couple callers back. They control.
But Mike, God bless him, I feel sorry for him because
Here's some loving footage of
there you go.
Now that's an acceptable situation.
Yeah. And people like Mike...
If you're deaf, dumb, and blind, that's an acceptable situation going on here in America.
Right. And, the solution may be to overtake this government, or the solution might be to have an independent Texas, or maybe there's another solution. But in my opinion, what is going on with the public, and Mike is a perfect example.
Yeah.
And I don't really blame him because he's being educated by the media and other television shows and so on.
Wait, I do blame people like that.
Well, you can blame them.
Yeah, because see, they're falling for the lie. They're caught up in the lies of the world. They don't know that they believe in the false reality that's being presented to them.
Right, Jeff, but it's been
so you do have to blame them.
Well, let me just say this: they've been presented this as truth since they were children.
So were we.
Yeah, I know, but
I mean, I woke up from my sleep 4 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, but I have good friends that I went to high school with and I went to college with who 100% disagree with us. And you know why, mainly? Because their parents and their grandparents don't agree with us either. See, in other words, they were actually trained and brought up
to
believe certain things.
And so were we.
That's right.
Right.
Right. But why did we wake up?
That is a very interesting question, Tony. And all of this, and when you start studying the equation, that's a very interesting question.
You know why we woke up? It isn't so much that we're so much more intelligent than others.
Right.
The reason that we woke up is because we love the truth.
Yeah. And most people who that are continuing to swallow the lies of the establishment, they have done very, very little or no real investigation of any of these things.
See, I'm the kind of person that almost nobody can lie to me.
Yeah.
I can sense lies, and I can sense truth, and I'm sure you're that same way, and most people who are after the truth have that inner sense where if somebody's lying to you, an alarm goes off.
Yeah.
You know, or you just get this feeling that that's the person's lying to you. Well, a long time ago, I realized the government was lying. They've been lying since the beginning, and they're lying now, and they're just going to keep on lying.
Yeah, what do you think about this Iraqi
yeah, that's another
fiasco?
Okay,
Jeez.
you know what?
That's so phony that it's just it's really it's humorous, man.
Jeff, I got into a discussion with a college professor about this. This friend of mine, okay, he lives in Iowa, teaches at the University of Iowa. Do you know that people, so-called educated people, think that oil in the Middle East belongs to the United States, or the United States has some right to it. He says that's our oil we have to protect, our oil interests. That was his exact words.
Who said that?
This college professor.
Yeah, well, I'm not even so sure that that's even what that's all about.
No, I know, but let me just say that's what a lot of people think that we're doing is we're protecting.
Yeah, so I guess Iraq's going to go and get a huge straw and suck up all the world's oil from the Persian Gulf.
Right, and that's Iraqi's oil. How would they like it if the Iraqis said the same thing about this country? The oil in Texas or the oil in Alaska.
Yeah, that's
right?
a good point.
Okay.
Even though I question whether that's even what it's all about.
Okay, now here's another point about the Iraqi situation. Okay, this is something that not very many people think about. All right.
Okay, go ahead, make it quick, Tony.
Okay.
I've got other people that have been holding it for a while.
Do you know? Okay, real quick.
Okay.
Do you know what they're actually doing over there? They're trying to start World War III.
Well, hey, this is a good time to say this.
They're actually trying to start World War III.
Let me say this. Now, I have never really made predictions, you know, like this is going to happen by this month or by this year, as some of the people in this movement unfortunately do, because I don't believe we don't have crystal balls, and a lot of the plans that the enemy throws out, of course, they may not get exactly what they want due to resistance and whatnot. But I will say this. I got more calls at my personal home phone number yesterday.
Hello?
Wait just a minute, caller. I don't know what happened there, but somehow we've lost Tony. Can we put him on hold again real quick? I want to mention this. Okay. Here's a potential scenario that could happen anytime from today to 10 years from now. A potential scenario. Part of the Hegelian dialectic that the enemy uses. But basically, and you're hearing a lot of this stuff about chemical and biological attacks here in America by some foreign, Iraq or some Muslim extremist group or militias or something like this. Potential scenario for more clamp down on our civil liberties is some created biological or chemical attack here in America. Of course, the CIA or some thug, group would orchestrate it or would perpetrate it, which could justify then a more severe crackdown on civil liberties. I've been hearing this a lot over the last week or so that this could be one of the angles. I don't make predictions. But I do know this, that the enemy uses these types of actions, meaning creating a crisis and then creating fear and hysteria with the crisis in order to justify more Big Brother, more police state activities and involvement. So, and I've heard this a lot. In fact, I got about 7 calls from different people, a couple of people that live out of Texas, and 4 or 5 other calls from people here in the city, and a fellow in Houston we talked to last night, basically stating that there could be somewhere down the road here some type of a scare tactic to take away more of our civil liberties, and I've heard it a lot. Okay, you're on the air, caller. Thanks for calling. Hello. How you doing?
Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I was calling about, I totally agree with everything you're saying, But what I don't understand is what people are looking at, how if you have like our history of the world, everything's based on like some type of belief in God to get the people to do whatever the government wants them to do, because I don't think what people realize is that none of the people actually set up the governments. The governments were set up by elitist people, people that wanted to control the masses. So with the governments being set up by the few, the many are just being led astray somehow to think that they really have the power to do something when everything is already planned out. Like when you have a new world order, when you think about putting cameras up on the highway just to track people, just to see how people, like just to see what we're doing, thinking about thumb scans. There's already things that are being done that are underground that people don't even know about. Like when they were,
in fact, a lot of that
like for instance, have you seen?
Let me
like
just
the
interject. Let me just interject. I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to, because you made an interesting point. A lot of these activities that we're seeing now, which some of these people are accepting, of course, the thumb scanning, the cameras, the smart highways, these were things that were actually put in the Federal Register 10, 12, 15 years ago, which are now being implemented. The people have no say in this.
Right.
So it's exactly right.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like on the whole scale of it, it's just like when the bomb was going to be dropped on Hiroshima. It's like now they're selling video footage of the actual bomb being dropped, but like 10, 20 years ago, nobody ever saw any of this stuff. So it's like, who was actually videotaping this stuff? Where is all this information coming from? And what were the people thinking about as the masses when this bomb was being made? Because it was top secret. Nobody knew about it. But when it came time to use it, then they use a bomb, then they say, oh, because you're patriotic and because of your children and that we love you, that this is something that's going to protect your country. But all it is just like a little prototype for if they have to do something else again to immobilize people. And then I'm looking at, like with America, how can people say that you're living on a continent that were full of men and women 25,000 years ago, and just because of conquest, they can relabel you? Just because of, somebody comes and they colonize you, then they relabel everything. And that's what I'm thinking, like the whole world. We started off as one race, but because of war and conquest of all these governments, we're all subdivided now. But everybody knows in rule number one, when you divide, you conquer. And that's all that's taking place right now, is that the people as a human race, we've been divided and conquered. But if they're talking about having one world government, then we need to have the people in the world be one as well.
Yeah, but that's not the way it's going to be. It'll be a one world government which the elitists control. And we will be enslaved to it. Thanks for your call, brother. A lot of interesting points. Okay, folks. Let's try to go ahead and take this quick call. Keep the music going. We got some callers here that have been holding for a while. You're on. Hello? How could they deserve to die? We'll try to take it.
Hey, Jeff, this is Alex.
What's up, brother?
You're still 2 minutes left, don't you?
Still watching, huh?
10 minutes left. How many minutes do you have left?
Minute and a half.
All right, listen, tomorrow, Chariot Inn, we're all going to be there. That's North I-35. I want to make a comment to Mike. Mike has called me a lot of times at home. The guy actually kind of scares me. He's kind of, and I stayed up late to watch it tonight. Mike, I have nothing against you, buddy. But we've showed Laird NewsHour footage, 60 Minutes footage, saying that black helicopters are engaged in surveillance of citizens with the military and local police.
And then they turn around and say, although it's classified, I can't talk about much of it.
Well, look. He's on here. I don't know who's talking. I think the lines are messed up. He's sitting there saying that we're still kooks and it doesn't still exist. He's called in on my show when I've run those clips.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Alex,
we are totally enslaved. We're apologizing. They're thumb scanning you.
Motherfucking turn it back.
And I don't...
Hello? I think we're having trouble with the phones, folks. Hey, Alex, I agree with you. Look, we just have to come to the conclusion, man, that we're just not going to wake everybody up, so you just have to kind of...
Exactly, Jeff.
You just kind of have to move on with it.
Well, Jeff, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, God bless you, brother. Okay, folks, I appreciate you all watching, the callers. In 9 hours, Waco Remembrance right here in Austin, Texas. And with that, I want to thank Mike Hanson, my son, my daughter, Alex, for calling in and that They Live clip. All the people that are involved in this movement here in Central Texas. We do have an excellent movement going here, and I appreciate everybody for it. And with that, we'll check out of here. Hopefully see you in about 9 hours, folks. God bless you, Central Texas.
Yes, thank you very much, folks.